Dear students, in the previous lecture, you learnt about potential energy of system of charges in the absence of external electric field. Today, you are going to learn potential energy of charges in presence of external electric field. First, we shall consider potential energy of a single charge in external electric field. Here you consider a uniform electric field. In this uniform electric field, let P be a point where electric potential is V. In the electric field, you know that electric potential is different at different points because E is equal to minus dV by dr. According to that equation, electric intensity is the negative gradient of electric potential. So, along the direction of electric field, electric potential decreases. At this particular point P, let V be the electric potential. Now let a charge Q is brought from infinity to this point. When charge Q is brought from infinity to the point P, the work done in bringing Q from infinity to P, this W is equal to Q into V, because by definition electric potential is nothing but work done per unit charge. Therefore W is equal to QV. So this work done, it appears as potential energy. Therefore potential energy U is equal to QV. Understand? So potential energy, it is independent of electric field. It depends only on potential. Of course, potential depends on field. Potential, it depends on electric field. But according to this equation, you can say that the potential energy of the charge, it depends on electric potential only, and electric potential in turn will depend on electric field. So, when a charge Q is at a point where electric potential is V, its potential energy is QV. Understand? That means to bring a charge Q from infinity to P, this is the work done. That means to hold the charge at this point, this is the work done. Because you learned that a charge in electric field experiences a force. If you do not hold the charge here, the charge will move along the direction of electric field because of the force acting on it. If you have to hold this charge here at the point P, this is the work done, which is nothing but potential energy of the charge at this point. Suppose if you leave the charge Q from the point P, because of the force acting on the charge, it moves up to infinity along the direction of electric field. So in moving from P to infinity, the potential energy of the charge, it converts into kinetic energy. Therefore, when a charge is released from the point P where the potential is V, the kinetic energy gained by the charge when it travels to infinity, it is also given by same equation. Or this kinetic energy, this half mv square, this is also given as Q into V. From this consideration only, we got the definition of a smaller unit of energy, which is called electron volt. So here 1 electron volt You already learned about this definition. 1 electron volt is equal to kinetic energy acquired by the electron when it is moving through a potential difference of 1 volt. That means when an electron is moving in a region where the potential difference is 1 volt, whatever kinetic energy is acquired by it, that becomes equal to 1 electron joule. Sorry, 1 electron volt. So this 1 electron volt, here the charge is E, potential difference is 1 volt. So it is 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 into 1. It is equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 joule. So this is how you got this equation. One electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 joule. So by definition, 1 electron volt is the kinetic energy acquired by an electron when it is moving through a potential difference of 1 volt. So this kinetic energy is equal to work done. Therefore, it is Q into V. So Q is 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 for electron, 19 coulomb for electron. Potential difference is 1 volt. Therefore, 1 electron volt becomes equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 joule. So this is the expression for potential energy of a charge in an electric field where the potential is V, electrostatic potential is V. In a similar way, you can also find potential energy for a pair of charges. Second case, potential energy for a system of 2 point charges. You can carry the derivation in the same way. Here is a uniform electric field E. In this uniform electric field, let us consider 2 points A and B, where electric potentials are V1 and V2 respectively. Obviously, V1 is greater than V2. So first let us bring a charge Q1 from infinity to A. So work done in bringing Q1. Work done in bringing Q1 from infinity to A. This W1 is equal to Q1 P1. So when I brought Q1 from infinity to A, this is the work done. Similarly, I have to bring Q2 from infinity to B. So to get a system of a pair of charges, there must be 2 charges here. In bringing the first charge here, this is the work done. In bringing another charge Q2 from infinity to B, the work done must be the sum of work done in bringing Q2 from infinity to B and also work done in bringing Q2 from infinity to B against the electric field due to this Q1 at A. So here is Q1 now. At this point there are 2 electric fields. One is applied electric field, another one is electric field due to this charge Q1 which is already here. So work is to be done against the applied electric external field and also work is to be done against the electric field due to the charge Q1 at B. Therefore, work done in bringing Q2 from infinity to B, it is equal to bringing Q2 from infinity to B against external electric field plus work done in bringing Q2 from infinity to B against electric field due to Q1 at A. Therefore, this work done in bringing Q to W2, this is equal to work done in bringing Q2 from infinity to B against the external electric field is Q into V2. So here the potential is this one, charge is Q2. So work done in bringing Q2 from infinity to B against electric field is this one. Next, work done in bringing Q2 from infinity to B against electric field due to Q1 at A. So due to this charge at this point there is a field, therefore due to this charge here there is a potential. So this potential is V1 into the charge is Q2. So this is Q2 V2. What is this V1 potential at B due to the charge Q1? Say let this distance be R. Then it becomes 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 by R into Q2. Or otherwise simply you can understand, you know that when two charges Q1 and Q2 are separated by distance R, the potential energy of the system of two charges, it is given by this equation. So therefore, this is W1, this is W2. Therefore, total work done W is equal to W1 plus W2. Therefore, potential energy of a system of 2-point charges separated by R in external electric field U. This is Q1 V1, this is Q2 V2. Similarly, this equation, it is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R. So this is the expression for potential energy of system of 2-point charges separated by a distance R in external electric field. See, what is the difference between this equation and the equation for potential energy in the absence of external electric field? When this external electric field is not there, each charge is in the electric field of the other charge. Therefore, the two charges will have a potential energy equal to this equation only. In the absence of external electric field, this term is 0. This term is also 0 because in the absence of external electric field, V1, V2 becomes 0. Therefore, these two terms will become 0, and obviously we will get the equation which is the same as the one which you obtained in the previous class. So this is about potential energy for a pair of potential energy of a pair of charges in external electric field. In the same way, you can also find the potential energy of many charges. That means you will get this additional terms. If 3 charges are there, then you will get 3 terms like this, plus another 3 terms here. Totally 6 terms will be there. Because those charges are to be brought against the external electric field as well as electric field due to their own. So when 3 charges are there, totally you will get 6 terms. Like that, you can find the potential energy of a number of point charges in presence of external electric field. In a similar way, we can obtain expression for potential energy of electric dipole in external electric field. Here let us consider a uniform electric field. Let a dipole be kept in this uniform electric field such that its axis makes an angle theta. So this is the charge minus q, this is the charge plus q. So this is the direction of dipole moment. This dipole moment makes an angle theta with the direction of electric field. So this derivation is important for the examination. So first you mentioned that consider an electric dipole of moment P is equal to Q into 2A such that its axis makes an angle theta with uniform electric field so this dipole in this dipole there is a force on the positive charge in this direction, there is a force on the negative charge in the opposite direction. Therefore, a torque acts on the dipole which tends to rotate in the direction of electric field. So therefore, torque acting on the dipole tending to rotate it along E is this tau, it is equal to P cross E. So if I consider its magnitude, so it is P sin theta. So this is the torque acting on the dipole tending to rotate it along the direction of electric field. Now if I want to rotate the dipole against this torque, that means if I want to rotate the dipole opposite to the direction of this torque, then work is to be done. The work done in rotating the dipole through a small angle d theta against the torque, it is given by tau into d theta. So work done in rotating dipole by d theta against the torque is dw is equal to tau into d theta So it is P sin theta d theta. Because in rotational motion you learn that work done in rotational motion is nothing but a torque into angular displacement. That's how we got this equation, tau d theta. So to rotate it to a small angle d theta, this is the small amount of work done. If I want to rotate the dipole from an angle theta 1 to theta 2 with respect to the direction of electric field, the total work done can be obtained by integrating this equation. Therefore, work done in rotating dipole from theta 1 to theta 2 against the torque is W is equal integral dW from theta 1 to theta 2. So this is P integral sin theta d theta. You know that this integral sin theta d theta is minus cos theta, and these are the limits. Therefore, W is equal minus P cos theta 2 minus cos theta 1. Therefore, potential energy of the dipole when it is rotated from an angle theta 1 to theta 2, this is given by this equation. U is equal to minus P cos theta 2 minus cos theta 1. So, in this uniform electric field, when the dipole is to be rotated from an angle theta 1 to theta 2, this is the work done, so this becomes the potential energy. So, usually, potential energy of any system, it must be measured with respect to some reference. In case of this dipole also, potential energy is measured with respect to normal to the electric field, because when the dipole is perpendicular to the electric field, the net work done on it is 0. It is similar to gravitational potential energy of a body. When a body is lying on the ground, its potential energy is considered to be 0. From the ground, when it is raised to a height h, then the potential energy, it is equal to work done in rising from the ground to that particular position, which is given as mgh. Like this, the potential energy of any system must be always measured from the zero potential energy state. So for the dipole, the potential energy of a dipole is considered to be 0 when the dipole axis is perpendicular to the electric field. See, when this dipole is like this, so this is the charge minus q and this is the charge q. So the potential energy of this dipole is considered to be 0 because of two reasons. One is, you know that any line perpendicular to the electric field, it becomes a equipotential line. So the work done in moving the charges on the equipotential line is 0. So when these two charges are brought on this equipotential line, total work done will become 0. So on the equipotential line, work done being 0, For the dipole, this line is considered to be a zero potential energy line. Another thing is, the second reason is, in bringing this positive charge from infinity to this point, whatever positive work is done, in bringing the negative charge from infinity to this point, the equal amount of negative work is done. Work done being a scalar quantity, the total work done in forming this system is 0. So you can explain the zero potential energy of this dipole either in terms of equipotential line or in terms of total work done in bringing these two charges here. So overall, you just understand that when an electric dipole is perpendicular to the electric field, its potential energy is 0. From here, if I want to rotate it by an angle theta, I have to consider theta 1 to be 90 degree and theta 2 to be theta. From that you can get the general expression for potential energy. So here, potential energy of dipole is 0 when it is perpendicular to E. Therefore, work done to rotate a dipole from perpendicular to electric field to an angle theta is, that is, theta 1 is equal to 90 degree and theta 2 becomes equal to theta. Here in this equation, we found work done in rotating the dipole from theta 1 to theta 2. So you got this equation. Now we are considering the work done in rotating the dipole from perpendicular to electric field to an angle theta. That means initially it is perpendicular to the electric field, so theta 1 is 90 degree. From there it has been turned to an angle theta, so theta 2 becomes equal to theta. So if I put this condition in this equation, u is equal to minus Pe cos theta 2, that is theta minus cos 90, like this. This cos 90 being 0, this u is equal to minus Pe cos theta. So this dipole moment is a vector, electric field is a vector, potential is a scalar. Therefore, you can write this equation as a dot product. So minus of P dot E, like this. So whenever a dipole is turned to an angle theta from normal to the electric field, this is the work done and hence this must be the potential energy. So this derivation is important for the examination point of view. So you practice this derivation thoroughly and also you understand these equations. So this is all about potential energy of charges in presence of electric field. First we considered a single charge, next a pair of charges, and then potential energy of electric dipole. So based on this equation you can expect some questions in the competitive examinations. So you remember this equation as well as this equation. You have to use this equation when you consider rotation of the dipole from perpendicular to the electric field to an angle theta. You have to consider this equation when the dipole is rotated from an angle theta 1 to theta 2 with respect to the electric field. So depending upon the situation given in the problem, you have to use either of these equations. The next topic is electrostatics of conductors. So regarding conductors, whatever you learned in this electrostatics, all those points will come here. So you already learned that a conductor is nothing but it is a material where there will be plenty of free electrons, and because of this large number of free electrons, they have the ability to conduct electricity easily. So we are going to study the properties of electrostatics of conductors. The first property is electric field inside a conductor is zero. See here, this is a conductor. It may be a charged conductor or it may be a neutral conductor. So if I consider a charged conductor here, there will be no electric field inside, because if there is an electric field inside, then there will be a net force on the charges, and charges tends to move, and obviously there must be some current. So under static condition, as no current is found inside the conductor, there will be no electric field inside a conductor, hence electric field inside a conductor is zero. So whether it is a charged conductor or there may be a conductor in presence of electric field. Here is a conductor. When this conductor is there in electric field like this, due to induction, there is a negative charge this side and there is a positive charge this side, and still there is no electric field inside it. So, electric field inside a conductor is zero. The second property is electric field must be normal to the surface of conductor. See, in the properties of electric field lines, I told you that in the properties of electric field lines, you learned that these electric field lines are perpendicular to the surface like this. So why these electric field lines must be normal to the surface means, because under static condition there is no surface current. Say, if the electric field is not normal to the surface of the conductor, it is making some angle with the surface like this. If I assume that this field is not normal to the surface, it is making some angle with the surface, then what happens? This electric field has got two components. One is a horizontal component, another one is vertical component. This horizontal component of electric field, it exerts force on the charges, then the charge tends to move over the surface, due to which there must be surface current. So under static conditions, as no surface currents are observed, obviously the electric field is not making any angle with the surface, so electric field must be normal to the surface. So electric field must be normal to the surface of the conductor. The next thing is, there is no charge inside the conductor. Because while applying Gauss law, I told you that if I consider some volume element inside a conductor, there is no electric flux through this volume element. So according to Gauss law, when there is no flux, there will be no charge. So there is no charge inside a conductor. That means charge always resides on the outer surface of this conductor. Charge always resides on the outer surface of this conductor. That is one of the properties I told you about regarding charge. The next thing is the electric potential of a charged conductor is constant. Electric potential of a charged conductor is constant. Here see, the electric field is normal to the surface of the conductor. Electric field is normal to the surface of the conductor. Under the static condition, these charges are not moving. These charges are not moving. That means there is no potential difference on the surface of the charged conductor. Had there been a potential difference, then the charge would have moved from one point to another point, which leads to surface currents. As no surface currents are observed under static condition, the potential at every point on the charged conductor must be the same. That means there is no potential difference. That means the surface of a charged conductor is an equipotential surface. That means the charges are not moving means this must be an equipotential surface. So the potential inside the charged conductor everywhere, it must be same as on the surface. That is what I told you in case of a charged sphere. From the center to the surface, potential is same. That statement is true not only for a charged sphere, for any charged conductor it is true. That means the surface of any charged conductor is an equipotential surface. So electric potential everywhere it is same, and that will be same as that inside the conductor. So electric potential of a charged conductor is constant. This is another property. The next thing is electric field near this charged conductor. Electric field at the conductor. It is given by sigma divided by epsilon naught n cap. So, if I consider any point very close to the surface of this charged conductor or almost on the charged conductor, the electric field is given like this. Sigma stands for surface charge density. When sigma is positive, electric field is away. When sigma is negative, electric field is directed normally towards the surface of the charged conductor. And we can derive this equation by using Gauss law. So you just remember that electric field at a point near the surface of charged conductor is given like this. The last one is electrostatic shielding. Electrostatic shielding means protecting some space free from electric field. That is called shielding. So protecting certain space completely free from external electric field, it is called electrostatic shielding. These conductors, they can be used for this electrostatic shielding. Here see, inside a charged conductor, electric field is 0, electric potential is constant, the surface charge density is 0. So inside the charged conductor there is no electric field. That means the space inside the charged conductor is free from electric field. Similarly, this is a conductor which is kept in the external electric field. When a conductor is kept in external electric field, due to induction, a negative charge is induced this side and equal amount of positive charge is induced this side. So electric field inside is 0, and this sigma is also equal to 0. That means this space it is completely free from electric field. So this is called electrostatic shielding. That means this property of electrostatic shielding it is used to protect sensitive instruments from external electric field. For example, if there are some instruments which are very sensitive to electric field, in order to protect them from external electric field, they must be enclosed in metal casing. So here, this is external electric field. The device which is to be protected, when it is kept inside this conductor, even if external electric field is there, that external electric field do not influence this sensitive instrument. So like that, to protect a sensitive instrument from external electric field, this type of electrostatic shielding has to be done. So these are the properties of conductors with reference to electrostatics. In the same way, we have to study the behavior of insulators in presence of electric field. That we shall take it in the next class.